Do you ever feel like no matter where you go, you're always the extra person? Like everyone else naturally fits in somewhere, but you're somehow standing outside the circle looking in? Maybe your friends are laughing at something you don't understand. Maybe people seem closer to each other than they are to you. Maybe you scroll through social media and suddenly feel like everyone is living a happier, more connected life while you're just watching from the outside. Or maybe the worst feeling is sitting in a room full of people and still feeling completely alone. The strange thing is, most people never openly talk about this feeling. They hide it behind jokes, smiles, busy schedules, and I'm fine. But psychology says feeling left out is one of the deepest emotional experiences humans can have. And sometimes the real reason behind it is not what people think. So stay till the end of this video, because once you understand why your mind creates this feeling, you may start seeing yourself very differently. Human beings are naturally wired to fear exclusion. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on belonging to a group. If someone was rejected by their tribe, survival became harder and more dangerous. Because of that, the brain evolved to treat social rejection almost like physical pain. That's why being ignored, forgotten, or excluded can hurt so deeply even today. Psychologically, the brain reacts strongly to signs of disconnection because it sees belonging as emotional safety. So when someone doesn't invite you somewhere, replies differently than usual, or seems distant, the mind immediately starts searching for meaning. The brain hates uncertainty, so it quickly creates stories to explain the situation, and most of those stories are negative. One of the biggest reasons people feel left out is because the mind automatically assumes rejection even when rejection may not actually exist. For example, if someone takes too long to reply to a message, the brain rarely says, "They're probably busy." Instead it says, "Maybe they don't like me anymore." If friends hang out without you once, the brain suddenly starts asking, "Am I not important to them?" This is how overthinking slowly creates emotional isolation. Psychology shows that insecure thoughts often act like filters. Once someone believes they are unwanted, the brain starts collecting proof everywhere. A small social moment becomes evidence. A distracted expression becomes evidence. A delayed response becomes evidence. Over time, the person begins feeling excluded even in situations where nobody intended to exclude them at all. Social media has made this feeling much stronger. Before the internet, people usually did not constantly see what others were doing. But now people open their phones and instantly see photos of friendships, parties, vacations, relationships, and happy moments everywhere. The problem is that people compare their private struggles to everyone else's public highlights. Nobody posts their lonely nights, awkward conversations, insecurities, or emotional breakdowns online. People mostly show the exciting parts of life. So the brain slowly begins believing that everyone else is happier, more loved, and more connected. Psychologically, constant comparison damages emotional security because the mind starts measuring self-worth against unrealistic images. That's why social media can make someone feel disconnected even when nothing in their real life actually changed. Another reason people feel left out is because they spend too much time trying to fit in instead of being themselves. Many people hide parts of their personality to gain acceptance. They laugh at jokes they do not find funny. They change how they talk depending on the group around them. They avoid expressing real opinions because they fear judgment. At first this may help them blend in socially, but eventually it creates emotional exhaustion. Psychology suggests that people cannot feel truly connected when they are constantly performing a fake version of themselves. Even if others accept them, the connection feels incomplete because deep down they believe people only like the mask, not the real person underneath. This creates a painful type of loneliness where someone is surrounded by people but still feels emotionally unseen. A lot of this behavior begins during childhood. Many people learned very early that being different could lead to embarrassment, rejection, or criticism. Some were told they were too quiet, too emotional, too strange, too sensitive, or too different from others. So over time they learned to hide parts of themselves to feel safer socially. But psychologically, hiding yourself too often creates disconnection from both others and yourself. Real connection only happens when people allow themselves to be seen honestly, and that can feel terrifying because vulnerability always includes the risk of rejection. But constantly pretending becomes exhausting too.
Eventually, the mind becomes tired of acting. Another hidden reason people feel left out is because they expect instant connection with others.
Today, many people believe friendships should immediately feel deep and natural. But real human connection usually develops slowly.
Most strong friendships begin with awkward conversations, small interactions, repeated experiences, and time. Psychologically, familiarity creates comfort.
But when someone expects immediate belonging, they often interpret normal awkwardness as rejection.
They think, "I don't belong here," when in reality the relationship simply has not had enough time to grow naturally. Many people leave social situations too quickly because discomfort convinces them something is wrong, when actually discomfort is often just part of building connection.
Overthinking also plays a major role in why people feel excluded. Some people mentally replay social situations again and again, searching for mistakes. They analyze facial expressions, tone of voice, small pauses, and tiny details most others would never notice. This creates emotional exhaustion because the brain becomes trapped in constant self-evaluation. Psychology shows that people who overthink social interactions are more likely to interpret neutral situations negatively. The mind becomes hyper-focused on possible rejection, and eventually even ordinary interactions feel emotionally threatening. Over time, this can lead to social withdrawal, because avoiding people feels safer than risking emotional pain. But sometimes people genuinely are surrounded by the wrong environment. Not every group creates emotional safety. Some friendships are shallow. Some social circles make people feel invisible, judged, or emotionally drained. Compatibility matters more than many people realize. A quiet person may feel disconnected in loud environments. A deep thinker may feel isolated around superficial conversations. A creative person may struggle in highly judgmental spaces. This does not automatically mean something is wrong with them. Psychologically, human beings connect more easily in environments where their personality feels naturally accepted. Sometimes the issue is not self-worth but mismatch. The same person who feels ignored in one group may feel completely valued in another. Another powerful reason people feel left out is because they depend too much on external validation. Some people only feel emotionally secure when others constantly include them, message them, notice them, or reassure them. Their self-worth becomes dependent on attention from others. But people are inconsistent. Even caring friends get distracted, tired, or busy. If someone's emotional stability depends entirely on external reassurance, they will constantly feel emotionally vulnerable. Psychology suggests that healthy self-worth must come partly from internal security, not only social approval. Otherwise, every small social change begins feeling like a threat to identity. Many people also struggle because they never learned how to enjoy being alone. Silence feels uncomfortable, so they constantly seek distraction through conversations, social media, notifications, or attention. But solitude and loneliness are not the same thing. Loneliness is emotional disconnection. Solitude is being comfortable with your own presence. Psychologically, people who develop comfort with solitude often become emotionally stronger because they stop treating alone time like proof of rejection. This does not mean humans do not need connection. They absolutely do. But learning to exist peacefully without constant validation reduces the fear of exclusion. Another important truth is that sometimes people accidentally exclude themselves before others ever do. Fear of rejection causes many people to withdraw socially. They stop texting first, stop joining conversations, stop making plans, and stop expressing themselves because they assume nobody wants them there anyway. This behavior feels emotionally protective at first, but it slowly increases isolation. Psychology calls this self-protective withdrawal. The mind avoids possible rejection by disconnecting early, but in doing so it unintentionally creates more loneliness. Fear of exclusion often becomes the very thing that causes deeper disconnection. Perfectionism also damages connection. Many people think they must appear interesting, funny, confident, attractive, or socially perfect to belong somewhere. But perfection creates pressure and emotional distance. Real human connection usually grows through imperfection, shared vulnerability, awkwardness, honesty,
and emotional openness.
Psychologically, people connect more deeply to authenticity than performance.
Someone who constantly tries to appear flawless often feels emotionally disconnected because they never relax enough to be fully real around others.
Sometimes feeling left out is also connected to personal growth.
As people change, their interests, priorities, and mindset begin shifting too. Suddenly certain conversations feel empty.
Certain environments feel emotionally draining. Certain friendships no longer feel aligned.
This transition period can feel lonely because the person no longer fully fits into old spaces but has not yet found new ones either.
Psychologically, humans fear uncertainty, so this stage often feels uncomfortable.
But discomfort during growth does not always mean something is wrong.
Sometimes it simply means someone is changing internally. Childhood experiences can deeply shape adult feelings of exclusion as well.
A child who felt emotionally ignored may become highly sensitive to rejection later in life. Someone constantly criticized growing up may unconsciously assume people dislike them even without evidence. The brain remembers emotional pain and often tries to protect itself from experiencing similar hurt again.
That is why some people react very strongly to small social situations.
Old emotional wounds quietly influence present emotions without the person fully realizing it.
The most important thing to understand is that feeling left out does not mean someone is broken, unlikable, or destined to always feel disconnected.
Almost everyone experiences loneliness sometimes, even people who appear confident, popular, or socially successful.
Many people simply hide it better. Some hide loneliness behind humor. Some hide it behind busyness. Some hide it behind confidence.
But deep down, most human beings share the same emotional desire, to feel understood, accepted, valued, and emotionally safe around others.
Real belonging does not come from forcing everyone to like you. It comes from finding spaces where you no longer feel pressured to perform constantly. Real connection grows when people feel safe enough to be honest about who they are. And yes, that takes time. Not every person will understand you, and not every environment will feel right for you. But temporary loneliness is not a permanent identity. Feeling disconnected today does not predict your entire future.
Sometimes the relationship that needs healing most is the relationship someone has with themselves. Because if a person constantly criticizes themselves internally, no amount of external approval will fully remove the emptiness. Psychology shows that self-worth strongly affects social experience. People who learn to treat themselves with more patience and understanding often become emotionally calmer in relationships too. They stop interpreting every small social moment as proof they are unwanted. So if you feel left out sometimes, remember this carefully. Your emotions are real, but they are not always accurate reflections of reality. Feeling lonely does not automatically mean nobody cares about you. Feeling disconnected does not mean you will always feel this way. And feeling different does not mean you are unworthy of connection. Human beings are emotional, imperfect, awkward, insecure, and complicated sometimes. That is part of being human. The goal is not becoming accepted by everyone. The goal is finding people and environments where you feel safe enough to become yourself without fear. Because true belonging begins the moment someone no longer feels the need to hide who they are. Understand people better. Subscribe now.